how to be analytical, how to analyze, how to write convincing essays, how to prove any point you want to prove. You're taught this at the very highest level of high school, and then in college, of course, it takes root, and you've already, in a certain way, been formed by this super analysis approach. And I say an analysis creates paralysis. That's just my take on it. Is that having witnessed how people become very adept at writing persuasive essays and things of that nature, they're taught to analyze their life in a sort of cut it up in small pieces. And so people become separated from themselves at an early age sometimes in our country, in our educational system. And even people who are, very bright, they want the highest and the best schools for their kids. They still teach them analysis as a primary way of thinking, and not really practice in terms of practicing how to fight sin in your life. That's not taught at the high school level. I taught for 27 years. There was not one course on how to fight sin. Not even a thought about how to fight sin, but certainly how to persuade somebody to buy a new invention or a new this or a new that. And they introduce you with ideas that are not necessarily good for your soul. And these are children growing up. I'm just saying, children growing up, and they're open at that age. They're open to learning, and they take teachers very seriously. And so when a teacher influences someone, it can influence them in ways that you wouldn't necessarily want to you wouldn't want them influenced. But anyway, it's not on the education system and condemning it, just to say we do have an educational system, and in that system we teach certain things that are more divide people from their soul than actually unite them to it. And so that's something that when you're raising teenagers and kids and you're bringing them into the church, they're going to come into direct opposition to what the church is teaching very quickly. They're going to be alarmed inside themselves. And see, parents, they often think that kids will share it with them. Well, how was your day at school, honey? Oh, it was good, thank you. Fine. Yeah, fine. Everything's fine. Anything new will come your way, honey? And they go, no, not really. Wrong question, And so that's the idea, that they're in a confused state. Quite often a confused state. And they make decisions that can be life-threatening or life-changing. They can enter into a way of life that is morally bankrupt, just because of the influences of the people around them. That's why I'm talking about this, because I'm starting with this, and I don't mean to sound negative. Believe me, I'm not a negative person. I'm not judging anyone or the system itself exactly. I'm just saying that in my 27 years of teaching, both in every grade from kindergarten all the way up through graduate school and college graduate school, and the people that I've run into, they have this divisiveness inside themselves. They have this lack of connection. And when they have met me, I will tell you a couple of experiences. One time I was in Costco. Who's been to Costco? I was in Costco, and I was in the main aisle with a basket, pushing it up. And to the left of me, in some area, there's these two Coptic men, and they're running in Costco. They're running, and that's a lot of people in Costco. And they're going, Abuna, Abuna, and they're literally running, and they go, bless. And people are around me going, I go, okay, God bless, God bless. And this man who is Coptic, but he wanted to join the church, and he had a whole story, and he tells me his whole story right there. Never met me before. The whole story about how he got kicked out of Egypt and how he was forced to leave his family behind because of the things that were going on there. and how he came to this country and he found someone he would like to spend his life with, and he wants her to be Orthodox. And this is like in the column. This is like in the aisle at Costco. This is not, somewhere else. So, and, I'm just saying that this is an example of how desperate people are for the fullness of truth. They want the fullness of truth. Everyone wants it. We have people coming in all the time now, our church. Every week we have 2 or 3 new young people. Today we had 2 people, 24 years old. First time they had ever seen or heard an Orthodox service, and they liked it. They liked it. They were drawn to it. They felt it. That is an incredible thing. It tells you how powerful God is and how the Holy Spirit is, and how we don't have to feel so compromised in our faith that we don't have anything that people, we have the very thing that everybody wants. We have to want it too. So you have to want to be that light, that beacon on the hill that lights the way for those who are broken and fallen. But how do you light the beacon yourself if you yourself are broken? If you yourself have so many different dark things inside of you that you may look good, you may smile, yes, I'm good, thank you, very good. Oh, thank you so much, yes. That may be how you manifest. But there's also the reality is, how are you inside when you go to your confessor? Do you confess? What are you confessing? And you see, so we all have thoughts. A thought can occur in an instant, in a second or two. We can be tempted to allow ourselves to sin as a result of a thought, or we can combat it. So thoughts are always coming. Images are coming. Everything seems to be coming at us all the time. And I hear from the lives of a lot of the young people in our church and other churches, and I've people all over the country. I've spoken about these things, and they all have the same thing in common. They all have this idea of, it could be vanity, pride, lust, and all these things associated with lust, for that matter. And they get stuck in a ditch. They get stuck, and it just becomes a habitual practice. And so they wonder why their life feels powerless, why they feel no sense of strength to overcome these awful dark sins that inhabit a person's soul. Just recently, a guy that comes to our church, he worked in a medical building. 15 floors in Santa Monica. It's a really tall building. And so he has a practice, runs the stairs, 15 floors up and down, twice a day because he's trying to stay in shape. So one day, it was a Thursday, a couple weeks ago, he's late getting started on his run up and down the 15 floors. And he gets to the top, and at the top of the 15th floor, there's a balcony there, and you can look out over Santa Monica and then the various places. Very nice, very nice. And so he sees this woman who was standing there, kind of like fidgeting, kind of looking through her bag. But he was just up and down. He didn't really think about it. Well, later on that day, he found out that she jumped off the 15th floor. She was a psychiatrist. She was a person who had education from one of the highest, best programs, Tulane University. She had 3 children, and she, at 40 years old, jumped. 40 years old. She had all the psychology. She had all the things that you do, all the medications she could prescribe. Psychiatrist is not like a psychologist. Her name, by the way, is Josephine. I found out later on. My friend actually knew about her. But she struggled with something that a lot of our young people struggle with, which was bipolar which is manic depressive or bipolar or whatever it is. I think that there's an epidemic of that particular mental health disorder going in the world today. But we have an answer that'll help whatever medication they take. We have an answer because we have a hope.